HUT moments have been completed. In episode 1, I went through every moment that the game has at launch to build up a solid base of cards in my collection, as well as upgrade my team from the starter slop that we're given. And as someone who is an avid online player, it was time to actually play against a real-life human being. So, Wildcard was on the menu. Getting the reward path finished will get us closer to a Master Set player item from the Fresh Ice event. So let's see if Wildcard is any better than it was last year. It was time to lock in. So we're met with the same draft-style format. Now, I will say, when Wildcard was first introduced, the overalls that we could pick from were so low that it just became an infuriating experience. At least the overalls in our first Wildcard, from the cards that we don't even select, are in the 80 overall range, so they're actually somewhat usable. Now, the cards that we can pick from in the draft pool, also interesting because they did give us the options to use some Master Set player items. This is the best part about Wildcard, in my opinion, is that you can just try out some of the Master Set items that are in events. So as I was going through my team, I noticed that the first option to pick from was on left wing, and I could go after and try Matthew Tkachuk's Master Set player item, but I thought I would save some salary and go after this 83 Nick Ehlers, which looks to be one of the best cards early at launch. Sneaky good with 92 speed, so we locked him in as our left winger. However, for right wing, I really wanted to try out the new Tyler Seguin because a mission for this series is to make a Master Set player item from every event. I already have Brock Faber, so I'm trying to find who I'm going to make as that Master Set player item. Tyler Seguin was the one I was leaning towards, so I was glad that I was going to get the shot to try him out. Now on defense, I went with Jamie Drysdale, and I did want to try out Morgan Rielly, but that just put me over the cap, so I had to scratch that plan and go with a cheaper option at center. So we went with Steve Ruchin, and then after massaging the salary cap a little bit, we put in a weaker defenseman, as well as using Carter, George, and net, getting me right to that $50 million salary cap. I will say for early access, I wish this was a little bit higher so we could at least guarantee ourselves to try out another Master Set player item. Again, everyone has the same draft pool, really, so I don't really see the harm in having players be able to use some of the high-end cards. But nonetheless, we got Tyler Seguin, as well as Nick Ehlers, which I was pretty excited about. All right, let's do it. Smooth operator. First online matchup in any capacity. And we don't start out good. All right, so admittedly, first few games did not go so well in Wildcard. There's a couple things that are different about this year's gameplay that I noticed right off the rip. Number one is just how much attributes actually impact how the game is played. And because we're so used to what the prior game was and everything being near 99, there's kind of a shock to the gameplay feel. It always feels sluggish, a little bit more slow, and that's just because everyone's attributes are so low. However, one of the biggest things for me personally was that the toe drag animation has now been completely changed. They added in a new type of toe drag that you can do, and in doing so, they've made the normal toe drag with this long extended animation where it almost completely nullifies the point of it. And for anyone who did not use the LT glitch or anything like that in last year's game, the toe drag was kind of my way to make up for that. So that was a little frustrating. However, I think that has a lot to do with the deking stat on a lot of these cards being very low. And I'm hoping that as we go along, it'll be a lot faster. And the other thing I noticed was that stick checking just wasn't a thing. For whatever reason, every time I went for a poke check, absolutely nothing would happen. Even if I got a piece of it, it was just like it was completely ignored. I don't know why. This is just my own personal experience with it. Again, I'm assuming it's because the stick checking stat is so low on a lot of these cards, but that was a little frustrating. So through two games, it was a bit of a mess. Post. All right, are we gonna lose our way to the wildcard path? F me. So I decided to go and just change from the default strategies and settings, and I went back to what I used in NHL 25. Now, I will have a video that will be a comprehensive breakdown of the best ways to score, the strategies and settings to use, but I usually save that until I've played about 50 to 100 games so I can give you some real feedback and get a real sense of how the majority of the online player base is playing. That being said, here's the concept quickly of what I use currently, and if you want to go back and watch my NHL 25 strategies and settings video, you can do so. But I use the overload, very simple, 3 players along the boards, you pass between them, looking for a player in the slot or at the point for a one-timer. The carry dump I put all the way to dump, so that when you get across the line, you you can fire a pass all the way behind the net, and a player can pick it up. Cycle shoot, all the way to shoot, pretty simple. You're looking for skill-based one-timers. Energy and efficiency, I leave it dead in the middle because I don't trust either of them. Now, don't block or block. I leave all the way to block because it can stop your AI from moving out of the way and trying to stop a shot towards the net. On defense, I use hold the line and pinch 1 to hold the line. You don't want your defensemen, especially with how slow they are to start, all the way up in the play. Cycle shoot, that's pretty simple and self-explanatory. Leave that all the way to shoot. For my team strategies, I change these a lot during the game, but 1-2-2 aggressive, 1-2-2 red, full forecheck. Again, early on, I just like the immense pressure that this brings, and the defensive pressure I put on contain puck and tight point to try and stop those D-to-D one-timers. As for the offensive strategy, I use aggressive, control breakout is strong side slant, and quick breakout is close support. After that, the fellas started to hum. Couple things on the offensive side of the play. Number one, quick release is one of the best abilities in the game. Combined with the lower goalie overalls, the fact that you can just get any wrist or snapshot off insanely fast is a massive advantage. Tyler Seguin specifically was an absolute nightmare, and the one thing that I really enjoyed about gameplay so far is that you could pick corners again. No longer were you just going for the low far side shot or a D-to-D one-timer. You could actually take a half second, pick a corner, and you were able to roof it, especially off the rush. As my run went along, I got flashbacks of like NHL 08 to 19, where you could actually score on the short side. Not everyone's going to enjoy that, but I just thought that those goals actually looked pretty good in comparison to what are the normal go-tos over the last few years. So it took me about 18 games to get Wildcard finished. I had a rocky start, but was able to string some wins together as the run went along. And I'll be honest, because of the 3-minute periods, it went by pretty quickly. I was able to finish at the Wildcard path, and I got to test out Tyler Seguin, who I can confirm will be the master set player that I will be making from this event. Now, the one thing I can't understand is they went to all these great lengths to reduce the amount of things that you have to open up and the menus you've got to go to kind of speed up the process. Yet, for whatever reason, they make you open 1 million of these one collectible packs. If you earn a collectible, just throw it in the inbox. I don't understand the tech behind this where we have to sit through this exhilarating experience of ripping packs that contain collectibles. So next up was to use those Fresh Ice collectibles from Wildcard on top of the ones I've already earned from objectives as well as the daily packs to do my first 81 overall Fresh Ice set. So that's exactly what we did. 81. All right, who do we got? Show me something cool, dude. Nice. All right, Jamie Drysdale, that'll work. So we get Jamie Drysdale, and now I can add him to the team to add yet another Fresh Ice player. And the whole reason behind it, throwing all of these cards into my lineup was now I can use them while doing my Cup Chase run to try and hammer out the rest of those objectives while trying to complete Cup Chase. And so that's what's up next. Again, I have completed almost every objective that I can complete without playing Cup Chase or online. And now is where I've got to actually enter into those modes. I need to get assists, goals, and complete games with Fresh Ice players in my lineup. And the whole reason that I was doing all of this stuff first was to get as many Fresh Ice players as I could for free so I could put them in my lineup and make this a far easier experience. Now, something else I want to touch on that I mentioned in my first video is that when I was opening up all those packs with my pre-order points, something that I had talked about is that whether it's jerseys, arenas, logos, I wanted as many as I could. Early on in the game, you can sell these for the max price on the auction house because people are just trying to get their favorite team's jerseys or try to switch things up, especially arenas or European uniforms, because fans that are playing in Europe, when they select a favorite NHL team, they don't get their European jersey as well. So I've been selling all jerseys, arenas, logos that I can in the auction house, and I've actually sold quite a few, so something to keep in mind. Also had an extremely interesting trade offer from a viewer. So I had packed Jean Beliveau from the XP path, and a Montreal Canadian fan happened to be in my stream by the name of Marcoux. He brought up a trade offer for my Jean Beliveau for his icon Joe Thornton. And I'm not big on doing trades in the no money spent series because I don't think it's fair. But I went and looked on the auction house, and I was actually losing value in this trade because Joe Thornton's price is so low during early access. I decided to pull the trigger, and this has to be one of the more rare things to happen in HUT where there's just a legit, even, fair trade in the market. And with that, we've got Joe Thornton added to the team. So now with Thornton in the lineup, the only icon that I really want to make no matter what is Sergei Fedorov, so that's who we'll be working towards next. Now, in the first video, I asked you guys, who should I make as my hero from this event? And it was a pretty big landslide of Zdeno Chara. So we are going to make him as my hero. In the next episode, we do our first cup chase run. I'll see you guys then.